Carson Wentz is no longer a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. He finally got traded to the most likely destination, the Indianapolis Colts. There's too many connections to ignore. Frank Wright, the head coach of the Colts, was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. There's connections there. There's not too many teams that were confident in making a trade, making a push for Carson Wentz after the terrible season he had last year. It just made too much sense for the Colts to be the team that pulled the trigger, that made the decision to go after Carson Wentz. And now here we are in February. The Colts pull the trigger. They give a third-round pick in this 2021 draft that's coming up. And they give a conditional second-round pick in 2022, which could turn into a first if Carson Wentz meets some playing requirements. So if the Colts like what Carson Wentz is doing, then obviously he's going to be playing a lot. He's probably going to meet those conditions, and that second will be upgraded to a first. If the Colts don't like what Carson Wentz is doing, maybe by week 8, week 10, they cut their losses, they bench him, he doesn't play. I think he has to start like 70% of their snaps for that second to turn into a first. So then if Carson Wentz is struggling by, let's say, week 8, week 10 of next season, I could see the Colts potentially benching him so that they only lose the second and they don't lose the first. But all in all, I think this was the most likely destination for Carson Wentz. He was always probably going to go to the Colts instead of like the Bears or any of the other teams that were set to be in the market for Carson Wentz. But I do believe that this will be a good trade for the Colts. The Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the league. When healthy, they're probably top 5, top 3, maybe the best on their good days. And they have a really young running back, Jonathan Taylor. He was a beast, especially towards the second half of the season. He was a rookie last year. If you guys didn't see the Colts play, Jonathan Taylor in the second half of the season was a beast. I remember the game against the Raiders. He went off. He had over 200 yards. He really picked it up as the season winded down. And in the playoffs, he looked good too. So Wentz will have a good running game, good O-line. Not everything will be on his shoulders. A lot of times with the Eagles, it looked like he had to evade 2 or 3 rushers just to get the play going. And then he had to throw to no-name receivers. The Eagles last year, they had no healthy wide receivers to start the season. And throughout the whole season, they don't have a lot of weapons. They missed on some drafts. They missed on some wide receivers. They could have had DK Metcalf. They chose JJ something. I forgot his name. He's irrelevant. He hasn't made contributions in the league. But Wentz didn't have no fault. He definitely made some questionable throws. He tried to play hero ball too much. He tried to force the ball onto some windows that just weren't there. The offensive play calling could have helped him too. I think once you see that Wentz has no receivers, the line's kind of hurt. They're not really protecting as well. I think they were throwing the ball too much. They kept trying to be a throwing team. And they had Sanders as a pretty good running back that could definitely shoulder the load. It was just a tough situation for the Eagles. I think the Eagles mishandled Wentz. I think they mishandled the years after their Super Bowl win. They could have drafted better. They could have handled their personnel better. They could have retooled better because like Jason Peters, he's been a great left tackle. They've had Kelsey at the center. He's been a great center, but it didn't feel like they retooled that great after their Super Bowl win, and now we're seeing the effects of that. Peterson's gone, Super Bowl winning head coach after 2-3 years after the Super Bowl win. Their offensive coordinator Frank Wright is gone. He's now the head coach for the Colts. Carson Wentz is gone. Nick Foles is gone. Kelsey, I believe, just retired. Jason Peters is getting old. It's just the team looks very old. The Eagles look like they don't really have a direction. I wish Hurts the best if he does end up getting the starting job, because I think the Eagles said that it's going to be a competition with whoever they bring it in. But I do believe he's going to win the starting job. So for Hurts, I hope he has the best of seasons. He looked electrifying towards the end of the season. But we're talking about Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz, when he's healthy, when he's on, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. That's why he got the huge contract that he, in my opinion, deserved at the time that they gave it to him. Maybe it was a little early. Maybe they should have waited. But in my opinion, Carson Wentz deserved that contract. I know Carson Wentz was eager to get that contract done because he had some injury history. But for the Eagles' point of view, he did have a lot of injuries, and you had 2 years left on the rookie contract when you signed the extension. Could have had the 5th-year option. So it's a little iffy on the timing of the contract extension, but he did get a massive contract extension, did not live up to it. But like I said, that had a lot to do with the factors that he could not control. The wide receivers were not healthy. The O-line was falling apart. The play calling was a little questionable. Now he goes to the Colts with his old offensive coordinator that got him to the Super Bowl, where he played his best football. Or that year he was having MVP season, and then he got hurt. So I do believe, in my heart of heart, I think Wentz is going to have a bounce back year. I know there's people out there in the media that have said that he might be in the MVP conversation. I'm not gonna go that crazy. I'm not gonna make that bold of a prediction. But I do think Carson Wentz is gonna have a bounce back year, and I do think the Colts are gonna make the playoffs again, and they're gonna be one of the teams in the mix in the AFC. The AFC is super deep, super stacked. So I'm not gonna go and say that they're gonna, be the final. They're gonna make the conference finals for the AFC or even win their division. The Titans are stacked, but I do think Carson Wentz is gonna have a good year. He's gonna cut down on his interceptions. His touchdowns are gonna go up, and overall, I think this is gonna end up being a good trade for the Colts. A 3rd-round pick, potentially a 1st-round pick for a serviceable quarterback. A lot of the money that he was owed, the Eagles are going to have to pay up. They're going to have to front that money. So at the end, the Colts are not going to be paying him that much. They're going to be paying him, I think, around $20 million per year for the next four years, something like that. So I don't think it's a bad trade for the Colts. They did need a quarterback. They weren't going to get one of the better ones in the draft because they did so good this season. Phillip Rivers retired. I just think if it doesn't work with the Colts, it wasn't going to work with anybody else for Carson Wentz. So I think he knows that. I think he knows this is it. He has to show that he could get it done. I did see on social media that Wentz is already contacting some of his offensive players in the Colts. He's already texting them. He's already FaceTiming with some of them. And they seem to be taking that very well. They're talking about his leadership. They're talking about how excited they are to play with Carson Wentz. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the Colts. I like the Colts. They're one of those neutral teams. I'm not really a fan of any team right now, but they're one of those neutral teams that are very easy to root for. I like their colors. I always liked them when Manning was there. So I am rooting for Carson Wentz, and my prediction is that the Colts will make the playoffs, and Carson Wentz will make a comeback. We're going to look at Carson Wentz in a different light by the end of next season than we did at this season, and he's going to be one of those top 10, top 12 quarterbacks in the league again. Maybe top 6, top 7 if he plays really good. But I think this is a good trade for Carson Wentz, and I wish him the best for the Colts. And for the Eagles, it's looking a little ugly, but we'll see how they go with Hurts. I want Hurts to succeed, but the Eagles look very messy.